that feel if we would have won that game. I wouldn't want to be anyplace else but the people that love the team as much as I do.
Just like the lore of Indiana basketball, you get to write like this current chapter of basketball in the Hoosier State.
It's all over the board, right? So you have people that are going to grab a mic and get a crowd all fired up, and then you have people behind the scenes that are going to do great work that largely goes unnoticed.
I do want to know about the name. Mm-hmm. Where did we land on Noblesville Boom, and how did we land on the Noblesville Boom? From South Bend to Evansville and everywhere in between, this is Get In, the show focused on the Hoosier State and the incredible stories happening here today. I'm Nate Spengel, founder of Get Indiana, and I will be your host for today's conversation. Every child deserves to wake up and feel the magic of Christmas morning. With your help, we can ensure that every family in the Salvation Army's Angel Tree program doesn't have to worry about providing gifts to their kids. It's super easy. Go on the Salvation Army's website, look at the Angel Tree program. You can filter it by age, gender, what the kids are looking for. For right around $100, you can provide Christmas for a local child in our community. The team at Get Indiana is sponsoring 2 kids. We're buying a bike for one of them. We're buying an RC car for another. We're going to spend just over $100 on each of these kids, and we're going to help make an impact in our local community. These families in our local community need our help. You go on the Salvation Army's website, look for the Angel Tree program. For around $100, you can help make sure that children in Indiana have the magic of Christmas underneath their tree. Today, I'm joined by Todd Taylor, the President and Chief Commercial Officer of Pacers Sports and Entertainment, where he oversees all revenue, marketing, and brand strategy for the Indiana Pacers, the Fever, the Boom, and Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Since joining the Pacers in 2011, he's helped upscale the fan experience. Todd is known for blending innovation with Indiana tradition to keep basketball at the heart of the state. I'm super excited to talk through the process of what it takes to move a G League team, what it takes to name a G League team, and of course, for everyone, if you stick around till the end of the episode, we're going to be talking all things Pacers, this previous playoff run, the NBA Finals, all the fun. We're going to talk about flying the entire staff out to Oklahoma City. I saw some pictures of that, and it looked really cool too. So Todd, welcome to Get In.
Thank you, Nate. I really appreciate it. And you should be my PR guy. I tell you, it makes it seem like I've done everything with the organization, which is certainly not true. We have a huge staff, 350 plus people that have really helped with everything you just mentioned. So I've played a small part in it, but I'm certainly proud to be part of it.
Well, I mean, you've been doing it since 2011. So 14 years, going on almost 15 years with Pacers. Were you in sports pre-2011?
I was. I'll give you a quick rundown that brought me here. I came to the Pacers from the Texas Rangers, spent a little bit of time there, spent 5 seasons with the Milwaukee Brewers, 2 years in Portland with the Trailblazers, and I actually started my career in Columbus, Ohio with the Blue Jackets as an expansion hockey team. So I actually went to school at Ohio State, worked full-time through college, sold corrugated packaging for 2 years once I got out of college, and just always dreamed of being in sports. So it was great.
Oh,
yeah, how about that? Huh?
One of my best friends works for Welch Packaging.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he slings boxes. I've learned more about not cardboard, corrugated,
exactly.
Corrugated packaging.
That's first lesson.
Well, that's also a big transfer, a big life change from working MLB, where there's a ton of home games,
sure,
like a ton, to there's still a lot, but there's half, right?
Yeah.
Like something in the 80s for baseball, and
correct.
there's 42 for basketball,
yeah,
which is still a grind.
Sure.
It's like, I feel like then you talk about like Colts games, it's like they have 8, 9 home games, something like that.
No, that's the dream right there. Roger and his staff over at the Colts, I'm a little bit envious for sure.
Well, I mean, envious there, but then you get to go make the NBA Finals run. So I mean, you can't really put a price on that,
no,
right?
You can't.
But what we want to start talking about is I think a lot of people in Indiana knew that there was a G League affiliate of the Pacers that used to reside up in Fort Wayne. They were called the Mad Ants. I don't know where that name came from, but that's pretty unique. Were they always connected to Pacers Sports and Entertainment? How did that work?
No. Actually, in the very beginning, it was a completely different ownership group. I think it used to be the D League, the development league of the NBA, and there were teams all over. And it was really more of a professional, semi-pro sort of league. And then as it's developed over the past 20 plus years, it's really become more of what you would consider a AAA for a Major League Baseball. So it's the second highest level of professional basketball. And what's really happened over the past couple of years and where the Pacers came in to own this was every NBA team wanted to have an affiliate minor league team or a development team. So really the previous ownership group was housed in Fort Wayne. The name, the Fort Wayne Mad Ants, came from General Mad Wayne Anthony. I know.
Wait, say that again.
General Mad Wayne Anthony. He's a famous folk hero up in Fort Wayne. So it was a perfect name, and that's actually, we'll transition into why we became the Boom. But it was a perfect name for Fort Wayne, so we really didn't feel like it transferred
So
well.
the Mad Ants are it's obviously an angry small little insect, but it came from Mad Anthony. Correct. And Mad Anthony is that's lore up in Fort Wayne.
Correct. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually it used to, the colors were more maroon and gold when we bought the team. And then basically when it became an affiliate of the Pacers, we switched to our blue and gold so it matched the color palette. The name, like I said, was perfect for Fort Wayne. So certainly we were proud of that.
So then when did you guys purchase the team?
15 or 16.
Okay, so you operated them up in Fort. Was that hard to run, like have a satellite organization up there while you all are down here in Indy?
There were some challenges. Obviously, we loved Fort Wayne, second largest city in Indiana, so it made a lot of sense for us to be there. But I think, as the relationship between the G League teams and the NBA teams have developed, you see a lot more players moving from the G League into the NBA. So obviously proximity, even though Fort Wayne is only 2.5 hours away from us here at our city center, it may as well have been halfway around the world, right? When you're taking players up there and back, if we want to get a guy like Johnny Furphy a little bit of playing time, 2.5 hours is a lot different than 40 minutes to Noblesville or 35 minutes to Noblesville.
So where was it first circulated? Like, what was the meeting where someone said, "Hey, I think we need to bring the Mad Ants down to Indianapolis"?
Yeah, I know. A lot of it was really COVID. So if you look at the G League, and a lot of people, again, don't know tons about the G League, it is still an evolving league, right? So the buildings that the teams play in are widely different, where they're located. The Miami Heat, their G League affiliate is in the Dakotas. So, again, it's not like it's close proximity.
How the heck do you do a two-way on that?
Exactly, right? Not easy to get to. So that's where we have a huge benefit. But what happened during COVID is, everything sort of condensed. And when you had so many controls in place with the health and security of players and fans, we really realized the benefit of having our G League team close to our NBA team. And the reason I say that is right now, our G League team, the Boom, they practice in the same facility that our NBA team practices in. So if you think about preparing players to make that leap into the NBA, if they're playing in front of the same coaches, GMs, strength training, nutritionists, you already have guys in your system. So you don't really have to worry about what they're doing on a daily basis, how they're getting better, are they learning the offense or not? It's all done together. And we really realized that benefit during COVID when we had to bring them back from Fort Wayne. So that was when that idea first hatched. Certainly, do we stay in Fort Wayne or do we look to bring our basketball operations closer?
Okay. And then how did you guys land on Noblesville?
It's no secret that, Hamilton County is a great place for sports. There's a lot of development up there. So as we looked at it, we weren't really necessarily set on any one community, but we wanted to be inside sort of that 465.
Was there like a bidding war where Fishers and Carmel and Noblesville and Westfield and Zionsville are all up there like, hey, this is what we're bringing to the table?
No, I think that's more movie-like. Yeah, absolutely. No, so, we had a lot of different options. We actually have our name on the building in Westfield, Grand Park area, Pacers Athletic Center. So we have a relationship with Card Development, Card and Associates. They do a lot of, facilities. So at one point we looked at, do we just partner with them and create a facility for our G League team? And then really it just came down to what was a good fit and what community might be interested in having a relationship with Pacers Sports Entertainment with our G League team. Yeah.
And so you ended up on Noblesville. When was that decision made?
That was actually right when we were moving. So there was Rick Fuson, our previous CEO, really worked with Mayor Jensen on that in Noblesville just to sort of create the relationship. And it was right after COVID that we started to have those conversations.
So so this is like 2021, 22 timeline, somewhere in there. And then how long from, we're doing this until there's a lot of real estate that needs to be developed and, T's to cross and I's to dot and all the things there. How long did that process take?
Yeah, so we actually, the past 2 years, the Mad Ants, we just changed the name, but the Mad Ants played at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So, we really made the decision about 3 years ago to move. We played 1 year in Fort Wayne and then moved the team down to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So they played the past 2 years at Gainbridge in front of, limited crowds, right? It's a big building.
Is that hard?
I think, again, I think there's a couple ways to look at it. I think it's hard to build a business, right, because you're playing basketball in the same building that the NBA team plays in. It's obviously built for NBA. The G League is much more intimate. But if you're a player, if you think about it, you're coming out of college and you want to try and break into the NBA, I mean, you want to play in front of Kevin Pritchard and Chad Buchanan. You want to be noticed by those guys. So if you're playing in Gainbridge Fieldhouse and those guys can walk out of their office and watch you every day, then you're pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a double-edged sword there, where it's cool. You're playing you're like kind of setting the stage, but you're also playing in front of I don't know what's the average attendance for a G League game.
There's probably in Gainbridge it was around 1,000 people. The building in Noblesville will be 3,500, which is about the right size.
Which is a perfect number,
Oh,
and it's on the north side of Indianapolis. Like up there where people will go, just like they've done with the Fuel at the Fishers Event Center. I think that's like you can start to pack out. Like what's the most attended G League team?
Well, Dallas has a really good G League team. They do a great job with that. So I think the attendance really ranges, and that's probably 6,000.
You know why? Because Dallas has ties to Indiana, right? Through Mark.
Oh yeah.
Right. So Mark Cuban, right?
Yeah,
like that's,
exactly.
So
that must be it.
Because they're Indiana adjacent. That's why they do a really good job down there. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys decide to move to Noblesville. You have to go through the idea of building this great. It's a what would you call it? Like an event center? It's like
they're using it more as an event center. It's really an arena. It was built with us in mind, but it's going to be multi-purpose. They build it. I think they've done a great job of making it very flexible. Obviously, they want it to be the center of their development with Innovation Mile. They plan to host conventions. There's going to be obviously community gatherings there, but you can also have concerts. They built the floor big enough to have gymnastics, for example. I don't think that they will, but I think you could have some bull riding and those types of things in there. So, yeah, exactly. So they wanted to make it obviously multi-purpose. They've invested a lot in there. It's a beautiful building, and we're very proud to play there.
Heck yeah. So when did things kick off?
Well, so once we made the deal with the city, obviously, they took the lead in terms of designing the arena. It's their arena. We helped consult on some of the spaces for basketball.
So the city owns the arena?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, and then you're just like a core tenant of it?
Yeah, we're a tenant, and we obviously have a great relationship with them. We'll help them, for example, on their naming rights. The things that we sort of do well, sponsorships, partnerships.
Yeah, wait, what is it called?
Well, right now it's the Arena at Innovation Mile. So we're out there talking to people actively right now. So if you're interested, we could probably,
The Get Indiana Arena?
Yeah, I think it could be perfect. Yeah.
Get in. Come on. That would be pretty fun.
There you go. So,
all right. Hey, so all we need is just a small monetary donation from all the listeners out there, and we could make this thing happen. That'll be cool. Okay. Yeah. I'm excited because I do think that there's nothing wrong with the Fishers Event Center, but like calling it the Fishers Event Center is not maybe as cool as like going to White River, or going to Everwise, or going to Gainbridge. Like there's just like a Lucas Oil. Like if it was just called like Indianapolis Football Stadium, like I don't know if that has the same ring to it.
Yeah, it really just depends. I mean, there's a wide range of thoughts and ideas behind that. Some places, certainly if you're a city and you've developed it and you own it, sometimes it's the branding of the city. So Fishers Event Center, certainly if you're going to play at the Fishers Event Center, then obviously that draws attention to Fishers. I think, with Noblesville, especially because they're really part of innovation and they look at this arena as sort of the linchpin of that innovation, it's going to be the Arena Innovation Mile in Noblesville, Indiana.
So I can see the branding. Could we get in Ovation Mile? Boom. There we go. Come on.
If you give me too many good ideas, the price tag is going to keep climbing.
There we go. Mayor Jensen, I know you're an avid listener, man. Let's make this happen. How long is the G League team or the G League season? Like, what does it look like? Where are we getting these players? What's our roster look like? Give us a little bit of a preview into this Noblesville Boom season.
Sure, absolutely. So the G League season is a little bit shorter than the NBA season. The NBA season will really tip off the end of October 25th, around that area. The G League regular season starts November 7th and 8th, so it's about 2 weeks later. And really what that allows is the training camp to start right after the NBA training camp. And again, the roster makeup, and it continues to evolve, but there are some players on our roster that are two-way players, which means they'll play both for the Pacers and the Boom. And then there are other guys that are actually signed that are on the roster, and they're hoping to be noticed by other teams. So when you think of it this way, there's a handful of players that we control the rights to. The other players obviously are a little bit more, not the right term, I'm the business guy, not the basketball guy, but more free agent and have the opportunity to sort of showcase their skills that other teams might pick them up.
Yeah. So who are our players on the 2A?
Well, I don't know specifically because they're named sort of each year.
Oh, so So we're still working on getting our finalized roster.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay. I know that one of my buddies, well, okay, not actually a buddy, but oh my gosh, Kyle Mangus was on last year. He's like an Indiana guy, Warsaw,
Absolutely.
to I
Great
believe
shooter.
IWU, and then was down there, and he ended up getting traded somewhere, maybe to Dallas or something like that. And I was like really looking. I was like, man, I just want to see him like make it in a Pacers game. That would be so sick.
Yeah.
But it's like his journey continues, and you keep growing. Like you got to go get. He ended up getting noticed by another organization, and that happens.
Well, and that's really, I mean, if you look at it, and I'm going to get the percentages wrong, but it's some upward of 60% of the players in the NBA have some G League experience. So it really has become a training ground and proving ground for players to bust in there. And I think that's why you have all these NBA teams that have a G League affiliate, because you can really develop that talent and plug them in when they're able to play.
I've always thought it was crazy that baseball has so many. The farm system is so expansive, and then like football, basketball, like even only having one G League team, and let's say they roster 15 players. I don't even know.
Yeah, 15.
Like 15. It's like that's not that many. Think about how many there's like 20-person baseball teams at single A or high A, low A, double A, triple A. Like that's just so many teams.
Well, interestingly, my oldest son plays for the Evansville Otters. He's an independent baseball player. So if you think about even the baseball world, not only do you have the affiliates with the Major League Baseball, and you have A, double A, triple A, you also have an independent league that feeds into those. So if you think about the talent in baseball or the number of players, it's vast. The NBA, if you look at the draft, it's only 2 rounds. So you think about how hard it is to get into the NBA. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense for the G League because it allows people to really go out there and prove their ability.
Well, and then you bring in things like TBT and like all these other basketball adjacent or like basketball options, where people can forego college and go join. Like it's crazy. And I could definitely see I could see a world, a decade, 2 decades down the road where there is like a high G and a low G or whatever,
Well, for sure, especially as the game becomes even more global, because the NBA for a long time was mostly the United States, right? And then as it's expanded and the game has grown across the globe, you're having more and more players. So if you think about more players, better talent, eventually the NBA will be even more talent than it has right now, which is hard to imagine given the great athletes in it. But to your point, if the NBA becomes even more talented, it becomes more difficult to get in the NBA. The game is more global. You're going to have probably, a G League team, and then to your point, maybe another team that feeds into a G League team.
Yeah, and I always love seeing like sometimes you'll get like the highlights of players that maybe aren't good enough to still have like a high level, like Jimmer Fredette, right? Like, not like great to be a star NBA player, too good for the G League, goes to China and is like all time great in overseas, making millions of dollars.
And, it's interesting because I've worked in sports, my entire career, and it's amazing. I have 3 kids and they've played sports, and I'll talk to parents, and we always all overvalue our kids and their ability, right? So I talk to a lot of parents and they'll be like, I don't know why my kid couldn't play X sport. And I'm like, well, you should come and, watch our players, right? So when they're warming up, they don't miss. Like, if you can hit 98 out of 100 3-pointers, then your kid is probably good enough to potentially play. I don't think, when you see the talent level and it's all equal, you don't appreciate how amazing they are. Batting practice, when I worked in baseball, for example, I worked in Milwaukee with the Brewers, and the Green Bay Packers players would come down and take batting practice, and they're huge, strong guys, right? They play football, they played baseball in high school because they were great athletes. They'd have a hard time hitting a ball out of the park, right? But a second baseman that's 5'10", 190 pounds, they're launching baseballs out of the park. It's just a different skill set, different ability. It's not necessarily based on size and all those types of things, but the margin to get to that highest level is so tight. So a Jimmer Fredette, who's an amazing player, it's even hard to bust into a roster.
Yeah, and then he ends up, overseas and, has a very illustrious career. Like,
Unbelievable.
Pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the season is a little bit shorter. Mm-hmm. The players there's a set amount that will be on 2-way, so you might see them, on the bench for the Pacers, and then they're playing for
Correct.
the Boom. I do want to know about the name. Where did we land on Noblesville Boom, and how did we land on the Noblesville Boom?
Well, it was a pretty exhaustive process. It's interesting, when you get into sports, you dream of designing uniforms and creating, team names and identity. And then when you go through it, you realize how big of a challenge that is, right? You try and land on a name that's not going to be able to be manipulated or twisted. Is it going to be offensive, especially in sort of today's landscape? There's a lot of opinions on how things get identified. So we went through it. It really always starts with us with research. Obviously, we looked at it and wanted to try and tie the name to our own equity in terms of our larger brand with the Pacers. We wanted people to know that they are connected. So if you look at the Boom logo, which I'm wearing here, you can see that the Pacers ball is in there. So immediately when you look at it, they're affiliated. And we also wanted to keep the sort of the color palette. So as you go down and look at the G League, there's really three different paths that teams have taken. So there's one school of thought that you name your G League affiliate identical to your NBA team. So if you look at baseball, for example, you have the Iowa Cubs and you have the Chicago Cubs. For us, given the proximity of where Noblesville was, we didn't want to create the confusion. I could just imagine a fan showing up, at Gainbridge Fieldhouse with a Boom ticket, and I have to turn him away. Right?
Like, yeah, you're only 45 minutes away.
Exactly.
It's a quick John up I-69.
No doubt, right? So the other one is when we would call it sort of brand adjacent, and that would be
the camshafts.
Yeah, exactly. Or Milwaukee, right? It's the Bucks and the Herd. So you can see that their G League affiliate is the Herd. So there's another school of thought there. So we were trying to look at some things that match that. And then the third bucket is it really has nothing to do with your parent club, which was the Mad Ants for us, right? If you looked at that, there was no connection. Mad Ants and Pacers. There's it's an insect, and then you've got the Pacers brand. So for us, we decided that we wanted to be in that middle kind of category. So as we started to explore, and I should say, when we were doing the early research, we kept all three of those open. We immediately kind of crossed out the Noblesville Pacers. We wanted Noblesville to be in the team name, so you knew that we were playing in Noblesville. And then if I showed you the deck, there were about 400 names that we considered. We looked at research in Noblesville. What is the native animals, plants? What's the history of Noblesville?
The Noblesville peonies.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And we went through all of that. Josh Shuck on our team, he's our lead marketer on
That would be overwhelming. Like, someone presents you 400 potential names.
Yeah.
And like, how do you test those? Like, what do you have to do to like see what public sentiment is?
Well, some of them are pretty terrible, right? If you have 400, right? So some of them, we just list them all out there because sometimes it just sparks an idea. But part of that research, Josh actually went up to Noblesville. There's a museum in Noblesville, and there's a historian in Noblesville. So he sat several times to learn more about the city, how it was formed, what the early part of Noblesville, what did it look like? From that, we listed them out in different buckets, and we got even just any idea. If you look at minor league baseball, they have some really great team names that have nothing to do with their major league affiliates. So we had like zombie dogs, right, and all sorts of stuff, and you just create a team name after a logo. We decided not to do that. So the 400 that we looked at, you could cross some of them off, right? They're compound names of animals, or if it's the White River otters, type of thing. You could decide whether you really want to do that. Can you build a team? For us, also, you wanted to represent the sport, right? So, if it's too far off and you have no idea what it is, then it's really hard to market that. It's hard to really build a brand and establish a connection with your fans. So when we decided to pick what we would consider a brand adjacent, we started to do research, really, where do you connect Noblesville to the Pacers brand? And Boom, interesting enough, if you're a historian with the Pacers, Slick Leonard, Boom Baby, obviously that was something that he shouted out mostly when Reggie was hitting all those threes. So Boom was something that we sort of gravitated to. And then if you go back and look at the history of Noblesville, they were actually really created in a natural gas boom. So that's why Noblesville.
No way. They're one of those?
Yes. So, and if you look also, Noblesville right now is booming. Their economy is booming. Their growth is booming. So for us, we really wanted to try and have something not necessarily tied to any preconceived notions, right? So if it's an otter, then you know what an otter is. You know what it looks like. The otter has its own brand. Something like Boom, you can actually create. So if you look at our game experience and the event experience. You've got an action word. It's a sound. It can be a lot of different things. So it gives us a lot of leeway in terms of our game operation.
Wow. There is a lot of ties to Boom, like Boomer.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You have wait, what is the mascot? Is there a different mascot for the Boom?
Well, we are just, yes, there is. And we're close to being able to announce it. It'll be in the cat family. So Boomer, yes. Boom, it'll be related to Boomer.
There
so there'll
we
be some
go.
tie. Yeah, absolutely.
Baby Boom, come on, let's go. Okay, yeah, that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, that little corridor of the state from Gas City was like this natural gas boom happened, oh man, maybe late 1800s, early 1900s, somewhere in there. Yeah. And yeah, that's really wild. Yeah. So you have a gas boom, you have the booming, you have Boom Baby, you have all these. I do have to ask, when it got down to the final like votes, were there any other finalists that were close where you had to go in there and be like, it's between Boom and it's between this?
Yeah, I think that some of the finalists, they were good, but I think when we put it in front of everyone, and to share that process with you, our marketing team and our brand team, they create this entire deck and then they narrow it down and usually provide anywhere between 3 and 10 suggestions, and they build it out. Like when I say that, I mean they'll put the graphics around it, they'll do the color swatches, they'll do an inspiration board. So when they do that, it gives you a pretty good feel.
That's a pretty fun year project. I don't know, how long did it take?
It was almost 2 years in the making.
Oh my gosh. That's a pretty fun little side quest to be working on, like developing an entire brand for a team.
It is. And like I said, it's hard though, right? Because if you think about anything in life, if you and I are both looking at the same, cup here, we're going to describe the blue differently, right? Yeah. And you might not like blue and I love blue, right? So I think it's hard to really get a name or an identity that most people are going to generally like. Right, especially now with social media, and a lot of people can weigh in on it.
And I feel like it's really easy to create a brand that everyone doesn't hate.
Yeah,
and it's like, is that really like you want a brand that people like really love, and like some people won't like it, and that's okay. But I feel like a lot of times it's like people will end up like somewhere in the middle where it's like, oh yeah, no one's going to be upset about this. And I'd find something where you weave in the threads of Boom, and there will be people that just love that. They love the ties to Boomer. They love the ties to Boom Baby. Like they're going to just like grab that.
Well, and we still have people that, wish that we would have kept the Mad Ants name, right? Because it's a really cool logo and they just liked it because they remember it. So there's a whole group of people that, when you leave a community, which was a really difficult decision for us, you still want those fans to be involved.
What was the Fort Wayne sentiment there?
Well, I think certainly disappointed. Mayor Henry, when we were working with him at Fort Wayne at the time, certainly he was a big supporter of the Mad Ants. The biggest thing was really, how does it impact our business? So it was less about leaving Fort Wayne and was really more about how we improve the basketball performance of our main club, and how do we end up really trying to provide a championship caliber team.
I mean, it seems to be working.
I mean,
it's not going poorly.
No, it's going pretty well. Yeah. For a guy that gets smarter with every win, I'm pretty much a sports marketing genius after this past year.
There we go. I love that. Yeah. I absolutely love it. Okay, so you get there, and the final, is there like a final meeting where they're like,
absolutely,
all right, team, we've got the Boom, and we've got whatever.
So we do a lot of internal focus groups. Fortunately for us, we have a nice wide range of employees from tenure and age, all sorts of backgrounds. So we try and get a small group of people together, and we test it internally first, right? Because we're all sports fans, and if we really hate a name, then there's a good chance that our fans might hate a name. Same thing if we love it. So when we narrow it all the way down, it goes all the way to the highest level. So Herb Simon, the Simon family, Stephen Rails, they all weighed in on it. So we talked through the logic behind it, the rationale and what we were looking at and why.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall, like whoever is presenting to Herb Simon saying like, this is why we should be the Boom. And someone else comes in and like, this is why we should be the Zombie Dogs.
Exactly.
Exactly. That would be why.
Well, fortunately we don't, usually by the time it gets to Herb, there's a good final recommendation. And Herb's an amazing owner, very involved. Certainly I've worked at several teams, and I'd put him up there with among the best organizations and ownership groups for sure. But the good thing about Herb is, if you've done your research, your homework, and you've presented in a logical manner, there haven't been too many times that he really vetoes a suggestion. Now, he asks really good questions, and you have to have everything buttoned up. But in general, he really trusts his people to make those recommendations. And again, he loves the franchise. He's been here a long time, and if you love it as much as he does, and you're making those recommendations, then usually have his blessing.
There you go. I mean, when I saw him on TV after the Eastern Conference Finals, like just out there.
Yeah.
The dude, I don't know if I've ever seen a happier guy.
Yeah, and I think that obviously the finals, and I know we'll touch on that in a minute. They were heartbreaking in terms of how they ended, but I think most people were more heartbroken for Herb. He's owned the team a long time, and I think if you were to ask our entire organization, we would all love to win a championship, but I think mostly it was because of Herb and being able to deliver a championship to him. He's the longest tenured owner in the NBA.
Is he really?
Yeah. He's owned the team since the 80s. I think 83 is what it was, somewhere in there. So again, from that standpoint, everybody was really pulling for him. So to see him happy after the Eastern Conference Finals, be back in the finals, it was 25 years from the previous appearance. So. Certainly we were excited about it, and he was disappointed, but very proud of how we finished.
Yeah, absolutely. Rounding out what we're talking through Noblesville Boom, you guys land on the name, the Boom.
Yep.
You announced that. Like, how have kind of like the preseason, just everything building up some hype around this year? How's that been going?
It's been going great. We unveiled the court, earlier before the building was done. The building is at completion right around June. It was, I'm sure the mayor would want me to say this, on time and below budget, or on budget.
Yes.
So yes, exactly. So I need to do my part there. And really, joking aside, Noblesville was amazing to work with. The mayor and his team have been incredible. It's a world-class building. It's I mean, when people walk through it, it really looks like a smaller version of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The locker room's incredible. So we unveiled the court. We did a big campaign to introduce the team. We've accepted deposits. So right now that's very strong for the season tickets. We'll be going through the seating process here very, very shortly.
Oh.
Yeah, so that'll be our season ticket base.
So if you want to be courtside at every Noblesville Boom game, hit them up.
Yes, exactly. Noblesvilleboom.com.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And we can expect to see the first home game.
Yeah, November 8th will be the first official game. I'm sure we'll have some preseason or some fan opportunities to come out and see the team up there. Obviously, our team wants to get familiar with the building, so it's a home court advantage. And we certainly want to use it as an opportunity to try and sell some tickets and sponsorships to people. So I would imagine in October, mid-October here, which is right around the corner, there'll be a lot more opportunities for open houses and those types of things to see the court.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's great for the north side of Indianapolis, especially because I do feel like that Hamilton County area is just booming.
There you go. See, look at that. Look at that tie.
Come on, there we go. It's just booming, and having more options of things to do. I mean, whether you like it or not, I'm an inside of 465 guy. I live, I'm here in the Routable area, but I know a lot of people get like, oh, I don't know if I want to drive all the way downtown. I don't know if I want to do that. Like, so having some stuff up there. You have the Fishers Event Center. You can go see a Noblesville Boom game. There's going to be tons of concerts and cool things happening up there. It's awesome. This episode of Get In is brought to you by our friends at Indie Grills and Outdoor Living, a local business here in central Indiana. They specialize in custom patios, fireplaces, and outdoor kitchens that are designed around how you actually want to use your space. Whether it's a quiet evening with family or hosting a big group of friends, their team focuses on creating a space that works for you. I love that they aren't some big box operation. They are Indiana folks helping Indiana homeowners build spaces that last. If you've been wanting to make your backyard more inviting, Indie Grills can make it happen. Check them out at indiegrills.com.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're biased. We love the heart of the city. That's obviously where we've built a lot of our equity, and certainly the building and all the real estate around it. The practice facility, the Fever broke ground yesterday. I'm sorry, not yesterday, last week on their Fever specific training facility, which is incredible. So there's a lot of great things going on downtown. But to your point, I mean, for us to be able to extend our footprint into Hamilton County, I actually live in Westfield. When we moved here from Wisconsin, our kids were young. Now they're one's out of college, one's in college, and one's a senior in high school. So we picked Westfield because it was a little bit more space to run around.
There might have still been fields around then.
Actually, there were. Grand Park hadn't even been thought of yet. I think 31 and 32, that interchange had a Shell, a Taco Bell, and maybe a McDonald's and nothing else. So it's completely different. But you look at the development up there, We still want people to travel down and watch the Pacers and Fever, but also it would be hard to ignore the development in the Hamilton County and the 69 corridor. So that makes a lot of sense for us, and there's a lot of demand up there. So we think it's a really great place from a basketball standpoint.
Absolutely, I feel like you'll have no trouble selling out 3,000 tickets or whatever for games. I mean, how many home games are there?
24. So yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, let's right here. Let's go. Come on.
Well, I mean, with your name on the building and drawing people in there, I think we could actually put a podcast booth in the facility. I mean, I know you would have to commute from Broad Ripple.
Oh, I could probably make that happen. If there's a booth up there, we're talking all things Indiana. That would be pretty fun. I do want to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
I want to talk about this past season with the Pacers, and obviously, I will say every sports person at the beginning of every season, if you're a good sports person and you do your job well, you expect to go in and win, you have that mentality. But it does seem like it was to the mass public a kind of a bit of a surprising run to the finals there for those people that maybe not be in the building and see that.
I think you're right. I think it's surprising for all of us too. I mean, we expected to have a good team. We had gone to the Eastern Conference Finals the year before. And the team largely came back. I think the key to our success, and again, I'm on the business side, not basketball. From a close observer, our guys like playing together. I mean, they're a good team. They're good guys. I mean, they're likable, but they play hard. They're competitive. They fit together.
And it's obviously Tyrese is so great, so clutch. But there's not I was at I went to a game in almost every series, and there's not a Giannis is Giannis, there's other teams that have bigger superstars these massive. But what I loved about it was everyone just did their job.
Well, and I think from a fan standpoint, that's some of that excitement, right? You go there and you just never know who might take over a game, right? I mean, it's you're right. We have the guys that are used to having the ball in their hand, but you've also got a lot of guys that make big shots unexpected.
I feel like when there was a game, I can't remember which one, but Obi Toppin just went crazy off the bench. I'm like, dude, let's go.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of it. Again, it's a deep team, but they all root for each other. In sports, it's difficult to find that, right? Because you've got a bunch of alpha people that are used to being the best player on their team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the crazy part. Every single one of those players at some point, from Pascal Siakam to all the way down, was once the star of their team.
Well, and it goes back to your point about Jimmer Fredette, right? I mean, we're talking about the absolute best of the best and people that have done amazing things, and then that funnel narrows, and then you're on a team and there is still a hierarchy or who pays what position, and you got to be ready to step in there.
Yeah, and then you get TJ McConnell coming in and he's goes crazy for whatever minutes he gets. He just goes nuts.
You've always been a starter, and now your role is to come off the bench, and when you do, you provide a huge spark and win games. So. So I do think that, again, you have to have a good ego to be a professional athlete and be successful, but you also have to be able to put it off to the side for a teammate.
For you, obviously you're in the business side, not the basketball side, but where was the moment throughout this last season where it clicked that this team was special?
Looked at it at one point, and we were all kind of talking. It's I don't know, we might just be a team of destiny. This just might be one of those years. We had so many big moments and shots and games that you didn't expect to win that somehow, we won. I think when we got to the playoffs, and we were a 4 seed, we played Milwaukee in the first round, and you look at that and go, man, Milwaukee's a really good team, and we've played them, and it's been really difficult. You hit some big shots, win some games. I think if you go back into the regular season, Tyrese hitting a 3-pointer and getting fouled with no time and basically hitting that and tying the game, and just all these magical wins that we've had really gave this team a lot of confidence, I think. And then from a fan standpoint, it was almost just the next game became more unbelievable than the previous game. If you look at New York and the shot that Tyrese hits off the back of the iron, goes straight up, I don't know how many feet in the air, and goes straight through the basket, thinking we had won, only to tie the game and then to win it in overtime. So, I mean, I think there were so many moments that we looked at and we're like, you have to be good, but you also have to be lucky, and you have to have fortune on your side. And I think we had all that. Yeah,
it was that. I feel like that. Oh my! All those series just go back and it's just crazy. I remember what was it? Game 6. Did we just rout OKC in Game 6 of the finals?
Yes.
Like it was like pedal to the metal. Like I feel like it was right after halftime, like a halftime hit, and I had never like people are sprinting through the halls of Gainbridge Field. Like we're up like 20 something points at half, and it was just like there was just an insane energy. Like I felt like Indy really showed out all through the playoffs.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, and this is one of these where, they're really good ideas until you start to execute them. But we did a giveaway, gold swag, and we basically shut down the traffic on Pennsylvania Street. So there were a lot of commuters that weren't too happy during rush hour. But we had no idea of what demand to expect. We had viewing parties for the away games that were selling out the building, right? So if you think about that, you just had everybody that wanted to be a part of it, and I think that's what makes sports special. It's the communal nature of it, right? Like you and I could be from different parts of the state, completely different backgrounds, but our love of basketball brings us together, and suddenly we're sitting next to each other in a building, high-fiving and hugging each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Like oh my gosh. Ben Shepherd nails a 3, and I'm going to have to kiss the dude next to me because I'm just so pumped.
Exactly. And I think you look at that, it's really special. Obviously, we're super excited about that because we get to be a part of it. But I think when you look at a community and something that happened like that finals run, it got bigger and bigger. And even if you look at the Fever side of things from the past couple of years, like every day has been a new sort of high, right? It's like every time we think it can't get better or more demand or more excitement around it, it does. And that's what's been really special.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Who does the shirts?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a good question. So when I talk about Herb Simon being involved, Herb gets final decision on the shirts. Our creative team does designs, and typically we have multiple designs for each round, and then we'll send them to him. Our marching orders from Herb is he never wants to be disrespectful to the other team, and he wants it to be something that the fans would really love. So those are the only 2 requirements. Then our team looks at it and says, okay, who are we playing in the matchup? If it's going to be around racing, for example, around the 500, is a game going to fall in there? Do we design a T-shirt around racing?
Yeah, I love it, but we never win. The Pacers, we do not have good luck with the Pacers and Racers game. But I'm saying, like who? Let's think. How many games during the month of May, like that time frame? That time frame from playoffs, Eastern Conference Finals, all the way to the finals. There had to be, how many shirts do you need?
I think it was 10 different designs. Typically what we had done, our general rule of thumb is we do a gold out on the first game of the series, our first home game. And then if it's a closeout or a clinch game or a must-win game. So again, if you're at a game 6 and you have to win to play a game 7, we're obviously going to create a gold out and make sure it's pretty crazy.
Okay, well, I felt like it was every game had a shirt in it.
Pretty much did, because the way that the series fell, a lot of them were clinch games at home. So we had a chance to either extend the series or win the series at home. So when we got to the end, it was like every game.
Who was making who physically? What business in Indianapolis pumps out these shirts?
Well, we source them to a lot. So it's funny you asked that question. It used to be Main Gate that was our primary. Dave Morotnik had a company that he started. So it becomes very, very hard to get gold shirts. So if you can imagine how difficult it is.
What do you need each run?
Well, so we usually have about 20,000 shirts that we bring in every time.
Yeah. So in 10 runs, that's 200,000 gold shirts.
Well, and if you think about, if Golden State is in the playoffs, they're typically using gold. If you have the NHL and you've got Nashville, they're using gold. So when you think about the colors of shirts that are just sort of on the racks, it's blue, red, white, black. It's typically not your gold. So when we're at the end of that long run, or if somebody else is, if it's Golden State and the Pacers, we're end up having to sort of race to acquire gold shirts. It's like real gold. You're stockpiling it.
The gold shirt rush. This was something I was sitting there at one of the games and I was looking around and I was like, let's think about the economic impact in the screen printing business around Central Indiana. Because I feel like you guys probably use a local vendor or someone to print the actual shirts.
Yeah, we do it through a procurement. We have a bunch of different ones that we would tap into.
And it's imagine, this year versus last year. I think of all, I want to talk actually through that, obscure economic impacts that the Pacers run had, like screen printing. Somewhere around, if it had the Pacers not made the run, that's 200,000 shirts that would not have been printed locally.
Correct.
200,000, that's not nothing.
Correct. Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Think about bars, an extra an extra 10 home games or whatever it was. Yeah.
Well, and 10 home games that are all like we're playing the Lakers. So if you think about that from a excitement standpoint, it's in a regular season, even with the Colts or NFL, like there's still big games and there's games that I'm going to watch it. When you get to the playoffs, no matter the sport, every one of those games is like the biggest, best opponent you're playing of the year. So if you think about the local bars or,
and it's like you're having a watch party. It's like game 3 watch party.
Yeah.
It's like you have to, versus if it's just like, regular season game 26, like no one's like that hyped up about it.
Yeah,
but every game was like, come to our watch party, buy tickets to I was literally doing everything, going to the stadium to watch to watch on screen.
Exactly.
And buy, no offense, buy $10 beers or whatever to be in the stadium, because it was just like an experience.
Well, it certainly was, and that's why I said it's that communal nature of it, right? It's so much more fun to watch it with other people that are sort of excited about it. You mentioned in our pre-work on this about our organization flying to the away games, and Herb Simon and Stephen Rails and the Simon family. They were kind enough to charter planes and send us there so we could watch the away games. But I will tell you, I watched Game 7 Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and I could have gone to Oklahoma City to watch that game, but I wanted to be with our fans. It was so much more exciting to be someplace where if you win that game, you're celebrating, right? If you win that game in Oklahoma City and I'm there watching it, I'm celebrating with 25 people that went with us.
Yeah.
But could you imagine that feel if we would have won that game? And I wouldn't want to be anyplace else but the people that love the team as much as I do.
Oh man, yeah, that one, it stinks. I mean, I'm sure everyone that worked, it's like that one was heartbreaking on so many different facets.
Yeah, and I mentioned Herb Simon earlier, and everybody being disappointed for him. Obviously, Ty he gave it his all, right? And I think I don't know. I mean, right? I'm a homer, but I don't know how we don't win that game the way he started off. I mean, it was that was if you remember the All-Star game that Ty started in, I think he had 4 3-pointers in a row, and he was in that same type of zone. I think the whole team feeding off that. And when you lose a player of that caliber, I think our guys did a great job of fighting. It's just hard when Oklahoma City's so talented.
Dude, you want to know what makes it worse? So we were watching down at the dugout. Great establishment. I love the dugout.
Me too, actually.
For NBA Finals, we were there and the sound went out. And so there's no sound. Like the whole... Everything happens with Tyrese. He's down. They keep replaying it, and there's no music, no sound, no nothing, and it's like crickets. You could hear a pin drop, and I'm just like, dude, this is bad. Like we were so high, and literally, like I think it was 20 seconds. I don't know, somewhere around everything with Tyrese, the sound goes out. Our best player gets injured, like this whole thing, and it's just like this thing got off the rails so quickly. Morale was not high.
No, heartbreaking.
Man, okay. Were there other obscure economic impacts that happened around Central Indiana or just Indiana in general from the Pacers playoff run?
Yeah, well, I think I think anybody that was supplying any sort of merchandise, it was interesting. One of the favorite stories that we've told is the demand on our merchandise team, our retail team, was so high when we were in the height of the fever, the start of the season, plus the NBA Finals. We actually recruited front office staff to go work in retail. And what I mean by that is we actually physically, myself included, opened boxes, unfolded all the shirts, tagged the shirts, refolded them, put them in boxes so they could go stock the store. So every other day, the team was switching from NBA Finals to fever merchandise and back. And every day when I came in, when the team store was opening, there was already a line basically to the corner of Maryland Street. So it was unbelievable. So I think the real economic impact, and you hit on most of them, right? It's anything that we had around the game. So, shirts. We did a lot of the light up bracelets, which isn't local, but still created a great atmosphere. And then you have all of the ancillary, like the people that sort of benefit from the ecosystem around it. So you mentioned the dugout. The dugout is one of my favorite establishments. Great pizza. They've done an amazing job. And a lot of our staff goes there. But you look at Commission Row and Prime 47 and all of those places right around us. There's obviously a huge boost. And when you get that many people downtown, even for the non-games and the watch parties, people are having a beer before they come to the game. So that was a huge economic impact.
Okay, we talk about how Pat McAfee ended up hosting his show and Unity Plaza and the whole thing there. Like, how'd that come about?
Yeah, actually, he's been a great supporter of the Pacers, obviously, and he loves Indianapolis. And obviously, we're fortunate that he hosts his show here. So it was just a natural sort of tie-in to be able to go over there. And we provided some food for him to sample, and we love Pat and his team. So
yeah, can we talk about when he gets the mic in stadium? It's electric. I'm on the pro Pat McAfee side. I think it's electric. One of my big just spiels about the state of Indiana is Hoosiers tend to be very, very humble. Yep. I thought for sure thing. If I said that's a really nice shirt, you'd say, "Oh, thanks. I got it at Goodwill. Right. It was like $0 and zero. They actually paid me to take this thing." Right. And one thing is like there are so many great things in the state of Indiana, so much to be proud of. But when we talk about it and say it's not too bad, like it's okay, like because we don't want to be braggadocious, and that's why I love the energy that Pat brings, because it's like being very proud. Borderline, like we don't want to be braggadocious in your face about it, but we want to be proud of what we have in the Hoosier State.
We talk a lot about that. I mean, and I think our organization, whether it's the community or whether it's sort of business operations, basketball, I think we do a lot very well. But I think to your point, by nature, Hoosiers and sort of Midwesterners really downplay that. So I think a lot of times we don't get the credit that we deserve because we don't go out and seek the credit, right? We're very much of the let our work determine our success.
And in the social media era, like I'm not saying that every founder, player, anything needs to get on the internet and be like, we're so great. But like that's why what we do works. It's like where I'm like in here and I get to hype up all the cool stuff that you're doing. Because everyone, like there's so much cool stuff going on. But like Herb Simon's not gonna get on Twitter and start talking about how great Indiana is.
No,
right?
In fact, I think Mel Raines, who's our current CEO, had to force Herb to go to the Hall of Fame enshrinement, right? Like Herb is so humble, and that's where it all starts with our organization. He's like, I shouldn't be in the hall and I shouldn't be given this speech. And I'm like, well, no one deserves it probably more than you, Herb. So I think we get it honest, certainly from the ownership group. And then I think, and that's why it's been such a great fit for here in the Hoosier State. But to your point, guys like, it was funny if you go all the way back to Lance Stevenson, right? Like I think people liked Lance a lot because, he had a little edge, right? And and he was, he definitely fit this market very, very well, but he was, he challenged LeBron, right? And that's not typical Hoosier behavior. I think normally it's like, we're going to beat LeBron because we play really hard and do a good job, and we're going to let the scoreboard reflect it. So that's not typically in our DNA. So I think when it happens with a Pat McAfee or somebody else, it really explodes.
All I knew is when he was down courtside, they handed the mic to him. It was electric. I was like I was somewhere higher up, and I was looking. I was like, oh man, this is about to be lit.
Yeah, well, and he can get away with it, right? Because that's his brand, that's his personality. Certainly, it doesn't necessarily. It wouldn't be probably our core DNA, but that's why you have friends and supporters of the team.
Yeah, and that's. It totally works. Like if it was your own employee coming in there and like trying to be like, you just can't do it. But he has this brand, just like, a lot of these media personalities can like go into wherever and talk about it in their style, and that's what you want. You want it to be in their voice. Like you guys don't want to give Pat McAfee a script and say, "Hey, read." No. Like you can give the pep talk, but you have to read this.
Well, I can only imagine handing him a script and what he would do with that. Right. Like, that might be crumpled and thrown on the floor pretty quick.
Yeah.
Certainly,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's definitely. He would definitely do it in his own voice for sure. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, right? It's like no matter what the brand is, it's not going to appeal to every person, but the people it appeals to are certainly going to really embrace it. And I think that's where we're lucky, because if you look at the number of people that sort of support the Pacers franchise, Pacers Sports Entertainment, it's all over the board, right? So you have people that are going to grab a mic and get a crowd all fired up, and then you have people behind the scenes that are going to do great work that largely goes unnoticed.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to have it all. You got to have the whole city together to do it. I love it. This has been such a great conversation. We've come towards the end of the show where we do some rapid fire lightning round questions, and we have some sponsored segments. So this one is brought to you by our friends at JC Hart. They're a leader in creating enjoyable living experiences at apartment communities all across Indiana and beyond. Check them out at homeisjchart.com. My question for you, you've been a little bit of everywhere, from Texas up to Wisconsin and around, and now you're here in Indiana, been here for the last 14 years, Todd. Why do you call Indiana home?
Well, I'm originally from Ohio, and it's great proximity to where I grew up, but I'm a Midwest guy, and I think felt right away like home. It was interesting when I was being recruited to come from Texas. Rick Fuson and Jim Morris, invited me to here to see the city. I'm like, I've been to Indianapolis tons of times, right? I've been here to see sporting events, and I've always loved it. It's been a great place to raise a family, so I've always felt right at home.
I love that. Okay, we got some rapid fire Pacers and adjacent Indiana questions for you. What was the first Pacers game you attended as an employee?
Interestingly enough, I started in 2011, and we immediately went on a lockout. So I didn't actually see any basketball games, I think, until January, and I'm not exactly sure, but I do remember that's when we acquired George Hill in the draft. Kawhi Leonard is who we drafted and traded for George Hill, so that's probably my first major Pacers memory.
Hometown guy, right?
Love him right here.
Yeah, there we go. What's your favorite feature within Gainbridge Fieldhouse?
Our verandas. So they're kind of a hidden space. They're on the key bank level. So if you walk on there used to be the old accounting offices. We blew them out. That's basically 4-person tables, counters that you sit at, and it's a private space. There's eight 4-person tables in there. It's the most exclusive sort of space in there, but it's also still communal. If I had to pick a space within the building that anybody could get to, I would say it's the flight deck, the end of the building that has the sort of sports bar feel to it, right across from Chick-fil-A and Steak and Shake milkshake bar.
Dude, they're like fancy milkshake thing.
They're like meals. Yeah, I guess meals if you're going to eat dessert.
They do some damage there.
Yes, they do.
Where's your favorite? If you were going to a game as a patron, where would you go before the game?
A couple. Prime 47, obviously I'd have to say Commission Roast. It's our restaurant for sure, but Prime 47 is a great one. And then, when people are coming here, I don't think you can not send them to 1933. I love the Elmo Cola, so it's a great place to get a drink. But I also... Coaches is awesome. I mean, Tenero, there's so many places to go. It just depends. If I'm with my college buddies, we're probably we're down a level or two. If I'm bringing my wife, we're probably up a level or two. So it all depends on who you bring.
What's the order? You get inside the field house. You need your snacks. You need your drinks. Where are you visiting as you go across Gainbridge Fieldhouse?
Well, and I'll probably use my wife. Ben's Pretzels, you have to stop there first. We come in the same way everybody else does. We go right up the steps, and we have to get in that line. It's like being at Kings Island or something. It's the longest line in the building. Got to get Ben's Pretzels, and then typically, depending on where I sit, we have a lot of great Indiana beers, and so I typically will grab a beer of some kind, usually an IPA if I'm more as a fan. If I'm at a game, it really just kind of depends. If I'm working, so we'll go see some people and kind of entertain. The Courtside Club is an amazing place for that.
Yeah, I love that. What's one tradition in Indiana basketball that you love the most?
I think it's our legacy video in the beginning. I think that's something that we do a really great job of. I look forward to that every year. Dean Haviland and his team do a great job. Not necessarily a tradition from a jump around like they do in Wisconsin for football, but I think it's definitely the legacy of basketball specific to the Pacers.
I mean, I just interviewed Angelo Pizzo.
Yeah.
He is the screenwriter of Hoosiers and Rudy, and he just talks about once everyone knew about the Milan Indians, right, in 1954, and just like the lore of Indiana basketball. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty cool that you get to write this current chapter of basketball in the Hoosier State. Yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, that's the fun part about these teams. We're really just stewards of the brand and the game. I've been here 15 years, and it's really 20% of the franchise time, right? I've been here a blip on the history. Mm-hmm. So to be a small part of it is pretty amazing.
Most underrated player on the Pacers?
Nimhard.
He's a dog.
He's
so
incredible.
Good.
And I don't even know if he's underrated. I think maybe underappreciated. But again, I'm a business guy, not basketball, so I look at it differently.
Yeah. Dream halftime performer for a Pacers game?
Boy, now we're getting into some good ones. I grew up in that 90s rap era, right? So when I was in college, if you look at halftime performers, it's either going to be the grunge era with your Pearl Jams, or this is probably Eminem, Snoop Dogg. If you really want to get the crowd going.
Wow, that would be pretty.
Well,
sweet.
The Beastie Boys would be the best, but it's going to be hard to get them back together.
Yeah, they got a lot of work ahead of you there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like, man, I always love when Red Panda's out.
Oh yeah,
she's spectacular,
amazing,
so
yeah.
Good. All right. That was fun. Those are enjoyable. I love it. We come to our final 3 questions that we ask everyone who sits in the chair, everyone who comes on the show. Again, you've been around. You've been from Ohio, to Wisconsin, Texas,
Portland,
all around. Yeah, Portland. So you talk to a lot of people from all across the country and beyond. Obviously, people are always coming through the door, new teams, new players, new this, new that. Like, you have the opposing teams coming in. What's something that the world needs to know about Indiana?
Because we've been so humble, I think, people need to know that this is really a great place to raise a family. It's a great place if you're young to come here. There's a lot more tech and development than you expect. So I think if I were doing the Chamber of Commerce sort of pitch, I would say that, if you're going to start your career, this is a great place to do it. I think it's a place that if you break in, it's very community-oriented and relationship. So you're only about a phone call away from someone that you want to meet. And I think it's a great place to really start your career.
Heck yeah. I love that. Next question. This is your opportunity to enlighten us about one of your favorite things across the Hoosier State. What is a hidden gem in Indiana?
AAA baseball. So, the Indianapolis Indians, I think Randy Lewandowski and his staff do a great job. I think, when you look at Boom and what we talked about here, there's a lot of commonalities, right? It's you're not there for the players necessarily because they come and go. You're really there for the experience. So, when I want to go do something that's something that I would enjoy, that would be a place I would go.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Like fan experience matters everywhere, but especially in like the AAA or the developmental, like all these things, because you're almost like for Pacers, like. You're not really like you might be kind of it's not even the same season as the Colts. Like that's not really the competition. The competition for like the Indians is like, are you going to the Children's Museum or are you coming to our baseball game? Are you going to a Fuel game or are you coming to our and so it's more of like how do you create this like I would love actually to stand at the door of an Indians game and say what's their record coming in.
Most people would have no clue.
No, they're there for they're there for $2 Tuesday or whatever and hanging out and having fun.
Now, I will say if you're coming up to my neck of the woods and traveling a little bit north, I would say Crafter's Pizza in Carmel, if you've ever been there. So I know Dugout is great, but Crafter's
is phenomenal. During, what is it, June, they do, when it's the Tenderloin Trail in Hamilton County, they do their Tenderloin Pizza. Dude, it's unreal.
So that's my hidden gem for my neighborhood.
Oh, it's spectacular. And they have the little, do you have one of the cards? Do you have a VIP card?
Oh, yeah.
They gave me you get free, you get chips and dip when you go in there. It's great. I love Crafters. Okay, final question. Yep. This is where we source different guests and just help people learn more about the movers and shakers within the Hoosier State. Who's a Hoosier we need to keep on our radar? Someone who's doing big things.
I think Matt Mindrum, probably at the Chamber, is a name that's been on your radar. Chris Gall from Visit Indy. I think that those two are really committed to getting people downtown. In sort of the sports world, I guess on our staff, we've got a couple people, Shayna Sangster, who's our lead marketer on the Fever side of things. She's done an amazing job.
They're crushing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of interesting stories there. And again, I'm really biased to my staff, so I think anybody on there probably would be a really great guest and could get very specific if you had a topic. But I think there's a lot of great things going on. And I think I'm very proud to play a small part in it. But it's been amazing.
Heck yeah, I love it. Todd, thank you so much for coming on and being a spectacular guest, telling us about the development and everything that brought the Noblesville Boom to Noblesville, created their name. The upcoming season that tips off in November. What are dates?
November 8th is our first home game.
Where can people buy tickets?
Noblesvilleboom.com.
And you're looking for sponsors. You're looking for season ticket holders. Yep. We're looking for people that just want to get involved in the north side. There's a 3,500 person arena that we need to start selling out, people.
That's right. I mean, naming rights are already covered by you, but we'll go ahead and we'll accept all the rest.
Just invoice that net 200 and we're good. We're good. It was awesome to learn more about the G League affiliate up in Noblesville. And to learn about this phenomenal Pacers run. Like, it was so fun to be a fan. The city, I just felt like we were constantly in the spotlight. Yeah. And it was amazing. And we just show up in the spotlight. You talk about Indy 500, talk about, obviously the Pacers playoff run, the Fever kicking off, like it just felt like for that moment in time, like, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks, like Indy was just hot.
Well, and we had the WNBA All-Star game right after that. So, I mean, yes, you're right. I think we were the epicenter of sports. And I think that's what he's known for, and we do big events really, really well. So I thank you, Nate, for having me on, and certainly we appreciate that you're a fan of ours.
Heck yeah. All right. Appreciate all the hard work. Good luck to the Boom. Good luck to the Pacers. Good luck to the Fever. Good luck to our guys, Freddie and Boomer, obviously. You know, they got to, and we stay tuned. Go check out Noblesville Boom on social media because there's going to be a mascot reveal soon.
Correct.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss that. It's in the feline family, but we're not sure what the name is yet. All right, appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Get In. If you like what you heard, make sure you leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is made possible by our friends up at Sweetwater. Whether you're looking to start a podcast or take your content to the next level, click the link in the description to see all of my gear recommendations at sweetwater.com. If you want a behind-the-scenes look at everything we're doing across the state, make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nate Spangle. Thank you so much for listening and being part of what makes the Hoosier State great. We'll see you next time here on Get In.